Welcome everyone to Andre's Basketball Thoughts Podcast. And today we are discussing something that's been going around on the internet for a little while. And now I'm starting to see some couple YouTubers discussing about this and all in general, just all in general, which is very interesting. Does NBA accolades matter anymore? That's what we want to think. First of all, before we get started, make sure you guys hitting the like, comment, and subscribe, and sharing this everywhere. And let's get started. Let's get straight into it. So lately, lately for me, let's go with that. Lately for me, there's been a pushback to accolades in the NBA, and a lot of fans are starting to say it don't matter. But why not? Why doesn't it matter anymore about whether or not a player becomes an all-star, an MVP winner, awards in general? Why doesn't that matter anymore? I personally believe it's this type of era, of basketball. So now with so many people on social media is heavy, and I do mean it's heavily involved in everything they do. Now with it so heavy, a lot of people just assume. I mean, now with that, a lot of people has done a pushback on accolades. At one point or another, accolades was very important to an NBA player because that lets them rank them up as an all-time great, as a I was the best player. I mean, I was the best franchise player for these teams and stuff. And now people saying, nah, it don't matter. It don't matter. But why? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. For players, I think for players, you're talking about legacy and contracts, right? Nowadays, a lot of the money is now starting affecting said contracts. So if a player who was all defensive, who's all NBA third team, all defensive second team, all star. Now, when it comes to their upcoming contract in their contract year, they can ask for more money, saying, "Look here, I was a top 15 best player in the NBA. I was a top 10 defensive player in the NBA, and I was an all star. I was voted as one of the best all stars in the NBA. I want this much money." And the teams and franchises got to say, "Yeah, you're right. Here you go," or "No, you're not right." So I think that plays the difference is because sometimes you have to divide that, in my personal opinion, because not only do you got to divide it, but it helps with the all-time talks. You know what I'm saying? It helps with the all-time talks. Let's say, for example, right now, let's say Julius Randle never becomes an all. Let's say Julius Randle never become an All-Star again or an All NBA player ever again for the rest of his career, right? When you look back at Julius Randle's career, when people are taking a look back in the history books and stuff, it will say that Julius Randle was a two-time All-Star and a two-time All NBA player, all NBA player. So at some point, he was considered a top 15 player, and I think a lot of people will say, okay, he was a top 10 power forward at his position during his time, in his absolute prime, at the very best version of Julius Randle. He was a top 10 player. I mean, top 10 power forward in the league. You can't do that right now. You know what I'm saying? If I take, I have to think. Oh, hold on, y'all, let me think. If I say, what was the differences? Let me think. Let me think of really young players. Let me think. If there was a differences, somebody asked me the differences. What's the difference between Luke Dort and Alex Caruso? Let's use these two plays. And let's say Luke Dort and Alex Caruso finished with the exact same all defensive. Let's say they end their career exactly the same. They both get a championship. They both all defensive members, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's say that was it. Let's say that was their career, and we're trying to compare who was actually better between each other's. Do we go to points per game? Let's say, well, Luke Dort averaged the most added more points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, less turnovers. He was a better defensive player. He was da 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 this. And they're like, well, Alex Caruso, he did this better on the defensive end. And then the accolades are added into it. So yes, right here, they were neck to neck with each other every single year for all defensive. Or we found out that Luke Dort got this over Alex Caruso by 30 votes or something. Whatever's the reason, but you know what I'm saying. There's some reason why they're better than the other player outside of just saying it. saying, well, my eye test said this, even though, let's be honest, a lot of y'all, a lot of fans, a lot of us fans, we actually don't remember a lot of these players past a certain time frame. We remember certain things, but we don't remember all of it. So you got to go back and rewatch it just to confirm that's how it used to be. I can't sit here and tell you, I can't convince you that, yeah, Nick Collison, he was really a very impactful player for the Oklahoma City Thunder because of his toughness, his rebounding, his handoff passes that he would do when it comes to pick and roll situations and things of that nature. But you ain't gonna believe it. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna believe it until you actually see it for yourself. Or how much effective that Zika Zubac during his time frame, how good he was for the Los Angeles Clippers. I think that's a very, very important thing to have a little bit of accolades to back up some of your claims. Because I can't sit here and someone tell me that Vince Carter, not Vince Carter. I can't sit here and tell me how good Tony Allen is as a defensive player, and then I look and he's never made a defensive team or something. I'm like, you sure about that? Or Mike Conley throughout his entire career, we know he's an all-star level player. He's only made one all-star, and that was out of his prime. We've seen CJ McCollum. I could say, yeah, CJ McCollum was a solid NBA player. He never made the All-Star. Somebody's gonna bring up. He never made All-Stars, All NBA, All Defensive Players. So how good was he? Was he just somebody just scored a bucket? Kind of, but he was still a really good player. That's why I think, in my personal opinion, accolades help start separating some of these players from other people. Now, we going over to why players care so much. It's for those all-time talks. It's for the all-time talks. It's for obviously the best player in this position. We can go back and forth all we want to, saying nah, this and that, but the fact remains is still there. You know what? We have the James Harden and Dwayne Wade debates. That's a yearly debate. Every yearly debate, and people like, oh, just let Harden get one ring and that debate is over with, and not counting in the fact what Dwayne Wade did when he got his first ring in year 3. You know what I'm saying? Not counting in what Dwayne Wade sacrificed just to get 2 more rings added to his resume. You know what I'm saying? I think that's very important. If it wasn't important, Kevin Durant never leaves Oklahoma City to go to Golden State to win a championship. LeBron James never leaves Cleveland to go win it to the Miami to go win more championships. You know what I'm saying? The big 3 Celtics would never form to win a championship. That's facts. These are not just made up narratives or nothing. Those are just facts. It's right there in your face. You know what I'm saying? I think how the media affects players for getting stuff, especially when you see it, especially when they tell you that they straight up not voted for someone. What was that, 2 years ago when Joel Embiid won MVP because Kendrick Perkins pushed the narrative because trying to push I guess it was racism. I don't know, I forgot what he was pushing. He was pushing something, and people kind of pulled back on the thing. It's like, okay, so that's kind of jacked up because now a lot of these folks that probably had Jokic winning switched to Joel Embiid, and now that you know what I'm saying, that's the media part, and that sucks. Let's be honest here. I think legacy wise is important. I think it's very important legacy wise because we're looking at so many players that goes underneath the rug because they're forgotten. Don't forget, you guys, every single year there are 60 new prospects coming from college into the NBA or overseas coming into the NBA. There's only a 15-man rosters on 30 NBA teams. So 400 or so players in the NBA, not including the G League, going in and out, coming in to play basketball. Some hopefully to make a statement, some of them not. And that's every single year that these players are trying to do this for. So when they're not successful, when they are just your average role player, they get swept underneath the rug and never talked about again. Only play they get talked about is someone bring them up in a YouTube video. If someone says, oh yeah, this person was an important place to this championship team. Yeah. This was the lockdown of defensive. Yeah. This is all that. And that moves into the focus of eye tests, advanced stats, playoff performances, has taken over regular season performances, which is kind of crazy to me. A lot of people say a lot of people see a team goes really good. They're like, oh yeah, oh this team is good. This team is great. This player is They said, oh, do it in the playoffs. Do it in the playoffs. Like, dang, that's all we care about. We don't care about in 82 games that somebody, or for how many games they played throughout the regular season, that they was able to maintain this superstar level. I don't think a lot of people realize that these players have to maintain that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all know, but LeBron James spends $1 million on his body in the off season just to get prepared for the new season. Come on now, that's $1 million just to stay in shape, in basketball shape, and look good. That's a lot of work, that's a lot of dedication. And then you have someone like LeBron that's doing that, and then you have players like Zion who he'll lose the weight, but he's still getting injured. So it's like, why? How is he still getting injured? Why is he getting so injured so much and stuff? And he's like, I'm trying to follow the LeBron formula. I'm like, apparently you're not, because ask the man, walk up and ask the man, find out what hit him up. Hey, how can I do the best version of me? I feel like a lot of NBA players nowadays have access to more of the legends than a lot of the legends did back in the day. I think, for example, like Charles Barkley. When Charles Barkley came into the NBA, I don't know if you guys heard about this or not, but when he came in, he was playing for the 76ers. Moses Malone helped him get into what he believed was the best shape that Charles Barkley should be playing basketball in. And he got him into that shape, and he played, and he had a phenomenal Hall of Fame career. You know what I'm saying? That's what Charles Barkley ended up doing. That's what a legend ended up doing. I think players nowadays, they don't take advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? You got Hakeem. You come to his camp and you learn footwork and stuff with what he does. And then you have somebody like Gilbert Arenas saying, "Oh, you must get your money back because he ain't doing nothing." Like, dang, like you're not a sinner. So what the world? My apologies. My baby was ready to get out of her chair, but I forgot what I left off at. But I think players. I feel like players feel like they don't need to increase their games, in my personal opinion. And then when you talk about that, we got to talk about like. I feel like the players themselves feel the same way that fans do. It doesn't matter as long as we get to the playoffs. I don't care, type deal. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I think. I think now. I, it feels like this kind of reminds you of what's going on with the NBA now, right? Where a lot of people don't like the way the NBA is because of the ratings are going down, because the NBA has refused. Let's be honest, the NBA has refused to push the correct players. We talked about this in the old podcast. I don't know which one it is. I figure it out. But we talked about this before, to where the ratings are going down, and the NBA doesn't understand why. Casual fans probably don't understand why. They just assuming. And a lot of people saying it's the 3-point revolution and why it's too many threes being taken. Some people try to say it's the defense, even though the defense is better. Quite honestly, I'm half and half. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm half and half on that. There's several small stuff that to go here that it doesn't correct that superstar level accolades anymore. Right now, we all know Jokic is the best player in the NBA, right? I think we can all agree to that, right? No? No? You're in the back. No? Okay, that's crazy work. No. He's the best player in the NBA. And the NBA feel like they're not trying to push Jokic. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird. They feel like they're not trying to push Jokic. In the middle of Jokic being pushed, we had the Luka Doncic's, the Giannis's, the Sheas, the Jason Tatum's, the upcomers and Ja Morant, Wemby, the LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton. We got players in the past when the face of the NBA was going, the best player in the world. Let's go LeBron James. When he was the best player in the world, we knew LeBron James was top of the food chain. But the NBA can also market. We got Curry, there's Kevin Durant, there's James Harden. There's that's the first three names. I ain't gonna lie, that's the first three names pop up in my mind. But we have other players that we can also talk about. When it was Kobe, when Kobe was the best player in the world, they still had the Chris Pauls coming up. LeBron James was still coming up to take over. Carmelo Anthony, the big three Celtics, the Derrick Roses, the young kid, all those players that we know and love. But then we also had the AIs, the Shaqs, the Dirks, the Tim Duncan. We had these players in line. Michael Jordan's the same way. When he was literally the best player in the world in the NBA, it was okay. Yeah, we still got Hakeem. There's a Shaq. There's a Charles Barkley. There's this guy named John Stockton that getting 100,000 assists and stuff. We have all these other players also. So there are always time to push, and the accolades help that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a casual fan and never seen a game of basketball, someone tell me, "Yo, yeah, that's a right there. That's an 8-time All Star. Like that's an 8-time All Star. Wow, that's a 9-time All NBA. 9-time All NBA. Like damn. Okay, bet. Okay, bet. Right there. Yeah, that's the best defensive player in the NBA. Like why you say that? He got 7 selections. It's only in year 9. Dang. Okay, bet. I need to pay attention more to this player. I need to pay attention more to these players. And if they don't have the accolade, we could just say it. Does it go? Does it go on deaf ears? Does it go on deaf ears? At the same time, these accolades can also cause trouble because of the voting, because of the old way of thinking. That's also played a factor. I'm glad. Yeah. You thought I was gonna be What you mean, Andre? Rudy Gobert is a 4-time defensive player of the year. This many. He's 4-time. He's a 4-time defensive player of the year. Correct. Despite being a 4-time defensive player of the year, you have Hall of Famers, legends of the sports, trash talking Rudy Gobert, saying he's not a good defensive player. He's not A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then how is he a 4-time all defensive? I mean, why is he a defensive player of the year 4 times in a row? What narrative can you push to me that says he's not a great defensive player? I'm a little confused. Some even go back to like, well, he can't do what Ben Wallace do with Tim Duncan. Like, well, you're also comparing him to all-time great defensive players. Like, so where is he ranking? If we're doing an NBA draft, is he getting picked in the first 10 picks? Just defensively. Big man at that. Let's go big man. In the at the center position. So in an all-time draft, and your center has to be defensive minded only, mostly defensive minded. Is Rudy Gobert not getting picked top 10? I'm asking questions. I'm just asking questions. I'm asking questions. If it's not, all right. Well, how far down are you letting somebody like Rudy Gobert go? Because I could tell he protects the paint. He switches as best as he can. Of course, he can't defend nobody on the perimeter. I mean, he's a 7'1" center. He's not supposed to be out there defending like that. That's why these other little people supposed to be around. That's what other players supposed to be doing, not him specifically. They're like, oh, he gets exposed in the playoffs and stuff. It's just narrative talking, man. If I'm a great defensive player and my person to the left of me can't defend worth crap, and I try my best to help out as much as possible, then I get cooked because I didn't left my assignment to help out. Am I a bad defensive player? If I continue getting switched on to these guards and no one's coming to assist to switch back so I can get back to my position, am I a bad defensive player? It's just questions. It's just questions. I'm just asking questions right now. I'm just asking questions. Accolades does matter. I think the push it out the window or so, or just push it to the side as though it's not important, it's kind of crazy. Because some of y'all arguments are about championships. Some of y'all arguments are about a lot of y'all people don't defend how you argue. That's the real problem. Y'all don't defend what you argue. You just say a bunch of stuff that looks good. That's what it is. Maybe you're trying to impress somebody else. Maybe I don't know what it is, but when you by yourself and somebody press you about your stuff and you don't have a good answer, that's a problem. That's it. I'm done rambling. Y'all gonna have me ramble for 6 hours, and I ain't gonna ramble no more. I'm done. Let me know down in the comment section. Does accolades matter in the NBA anymore? If you say yes, why? If you say no, why? Why? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Catch you on the next podcast.